Good morning, everyone. It's Rafegal, and we are playing some more Dragon Warrior. Or Dragon Quest, depending on where you're from and which version of it you're playing. So, I talked a little bit about this last time, about the history, but in a lot of ways, Dragon Quest was the first RPG as we think of it, or JRPG. The creators, there were other like Western RPGs before this. The two that that were mentioned in a lot of the things I was reading were Ultima and Wizardry, which makes sense, and you can definitely see the like influence of those if you've played Ultima or Wizardry at all. And I also mentioned last time that there were also a lot of adventure games that were inspired it. And if you've played some of those old adventure games that have like the little menus of different things you can do, or where you have to like select certain like menu options as far as your like different commands go, the menu that you use out of battle feels a lot like that. And honestly, a lot of the quests do as well. Dragon Quest was developed and released in, I believe it's 96, or 96, 86, and eventually was released later in the US as Dragon Warrior, because there was a copyright dispute regarding a RPG that was the same name. Like a tabletop RPG, board game, called Dragon Quest. Hey, we made it to Garnham. Garen, a wandering minstrel of legendary fame, is said to have built this town. Many believe that Princess Gwaelin is hidden away in a cave. Again, we get some good hints. This game is very good at giving us hints. I have heard of one named Nestor. Dost thou know such a one? That was a little humor. Nestor was the mascot, like, character in Nintendo Power, and like a Nintendo mascot around that time. And Enix putting in little references like that is totally something that has survived throughout the entire Dragon Quest series. It has a good sense of humor. We're going to get another torch. We're going to check in with this weapon shop and find that everything that we would want here is extremely expensive. May your stay here be a peaceful one. It said that the princess was kidnapped and taken east. So once again, we get lots of little clues here. And one person doesn't just tell us, but by talking to two different people in this town, we think that the princess is in a cave to the east. It just so happens that there's only one cave over to the east, so eventually we'll get there. So, we've made it up to Garnham, and we've gotten some clues. So, the clues in the first town pointed us to Garnham, which showed us the cave with the tablet, and also the way to this next town. Now, we haven't run into any yet, but there are scarier enemies here than in the other areas we've been so far. And we actually want to start fighting them here. I may have to wander a little bit to get there. There we go. So the first enemy that we're going to try and get to is ghosts. And this is actually going to be the first time to use our hurt spell. Because hurt... Ooh, that's a little outside of what I wanted to deal with right now, but let's give it a try. Because they have the hurt spell as well. I'm gonna go ahead and just use that twice, because I think that'll do it. Those things are worth a lot more gold, and that's going to be what we're grinding on shortly. Let's see, those things have 13 hit points. I have lots of random stats and stuff on my tables. So, for the time being, we do want to just fight ghosts. Ghosts have 7 hit points, so a single cast of hurt should often kill them. Which can be very good when we're trying to get through these fights safely and quickly. The magicians that we fought are the same, are a little bit more powerful, a little scarier. Like I said, they give you only, there's still only 4 experience compared to the 3 that the ghosts give, but they are significantly more gold. These other things give 2, 3 gold, and as you saw in that shop in the top, or when we were up in Garenham, we're gonna need a lot of money. We don't need to buy everything right now, and I'm definitely not intending to buy all of the items. Right now. However, I am probably going to try and save up and get 1 item here. Now, part of the reason that we want to do that is because we're going to be a little cheeky here, because as long as we are relying on the hurt spell, we don't need to upgrade our weapon. Now, we're going to still be using the weapon, you know, especially for regular enemies, or the lower level enemies that we've already dealt with. But basically, any more challenging enemies, we're going to be relying on the hurt spell for the time being, because we can 1 or 2 shot a lot of them with it. That being, like I was saying, the magicians and the ghosts. By the way, we're heading back to town right now because we're out of MP. This nice man will restore our hit points, or our magic points. And by going back to him, we are saving a lot of money, because the grind is long enough without having to add in the money we're spending at the inn every single time. Especially if we go beyond Breckenry, because the inn in Garenham is more expensive. The further away you get from the castle, the more expensive it is. I think we are going to take the risk here. I feel like the magicians are probably, like, they're not guaranteed to show up here. There's still Drakis and ghosts. So I think I am going to hang out in this desert area. Once again, each terrain has different... each terrain has different encounter rates. These desert tiles have a 1 in 8 chance of spawning an encounter. So, very high rate of encounters. The forest tiles are a 1 in 16, so half as likely, and the grasslands tiles are 1 in 24. So, by wandering around in this desert area, and we are kind of right on the border here between two of the different areas where enemies can spawn. So in these two tiles of the desert, we can spawn red slimes, blue slimes, Drakis, and ghosts. This next square over, there are no blue slimes. It is red slimes, ghosts, magicians, and Drakis. So by moving over here, that one square, we can change the way we're grinding and increase the chances of getting the items we're looking for, or the encounters we're looking for, so that we can get our items faster. Okay, courage and wit have served thee well. Thou hast been promoted to the next level. Thy power increased by 5, response speed by 2, maximum hit points by 4, maximum magic points by 4. So, as a reminder, our stats just are pretty low to start with. Our attack power just went from 11 to 16. That is a big jump. That is going to make it a lot easier to one-shot these things. We should at this point be able to one-shot, I would guess, Drakis sometimes. Pretty much always red slimes. Ghosts are probably still going to take 2 hits, but at this point we can probably take most of them out in 2 hits. And the magicians at this point, we could probably take out in 2 physical hits, but it's probably safer to do 1 hurt and then follow it up with an attack. So I haven't really talked much this time about what we're actually doing. And the reasons for that are because a lot of this game is grinding. We have a long way to go before we are comfortable with traveling. And we could probably do the trip to the next area at the level we're at. And definitely 1 higher. What I would like to do, before I do that, however, is kind of minimize the amount of multiple trips we have to do, because we could get to the next thing, but then we probably would struggle to get to the place after that, if that makes sense. So rather than kind of go one section at a time, we're gonna try and be a little more efficient, stick close to the castle, and make use of what we've got. So my current goal is going to be to get 300 gold, which will get us the chainmail before we continue. Is that excessive? Maybe. But I think we're going to find the next sections a lot more enjoyable because things jump pretty rapidly before we go over to the east. We'll still be fighting at that point the magicians and ghosts, but those are the weaker enemies in that area. So before we head that way, we're going to take the time to grind up. We're going to get as much gold as we can. We're going to pick up that armor, which will give us a significant boost to our defense. Uh-oh. Be a little risky here. It's probably not the best idea, but he hasn't cast Hurt yet. Of course. That was dumb, because if we die, we lose half of our gold, and we're out of healing. Once again, the terrain affects how many encounters you get. So, we stick to the grassland and the forest, rather than crossing through the hills as we head back. And somehow we still get several encounters. I will also just say, hopefully that actually illustrates why we are doing the grinds that we are. Because those magicians are... So, those are the 5th weakest enemy in the game. You know, we've encountered slimes, red slimes, Draki, Ghost, Magician. And despite being one of the weakest enemies in the game, you can't just sit there and go toe-to-toe with them. You have to use your magic. You have to use your... is that... Okay, I thought we had a little more health left. You have to take those little boosts. And, every level does make a big difference as far as that goes, as well as the equipment. Now, we could be buying other equipment. I do just want to say that again. But the reason we're not is because the next section... Basically, I explained a little bit in the last time. Same reason that we're skipping some of the... Like, we started with a shield instead of armor, is because we're trying to do this efficiently, so that we have to grind less. And I realize I'm saying this as I'm doing a long grind, again. But that is how the game works. So, rather than get 70 for the leather armor, and then we would have gotten to Garenham and had 70 less gold when we were looking at all of those expensive items, we can save up, spend our 300 on the chainmail, and not have to buy any more armor for a while. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut away at this point, and we're gonna come back when I level up, or get to 300 gold, whatever comes first. Okay. There is our next level. Courage and wit have served thee well. Thou hast been promoted to the next level. Thy power increased by 4. That's another big jump. The maximum hit points by 3. Maximum magic by 3. That's another casting of hurt. Not a big level. Which was kind of to be expected. We're actually getting very close at this point to our gold goal as well, and actually that level was enough that we're starting to get enemies running away, which is very interesting. We're gonna go over to these hills so that we're a little closer to town. And once again, we're going to be focusing on kind of survival here, just trying to be efficient, get through as fast and clean as we can. Red slimes, we should just be able to attack. Drakkies, we should just be able to attack. Ghosts, I haven't run into yet, but magicians we're definitely still going to cast hurt. Bad roll. So magician, the hit point, or enemies can have a range of hit points rather than just a standard set amount in this game, which is another thing that makes it very interesting compared to a lot of other more modern RPGs. There are things like that that definitely draw more from the tabletop RPG experience with rolled hit points and such, as well as the way that the stats work. So we're going to pick up the chainmail. Do I wish to buy anything more? I'd love to. Can I afford anything more? No. So, with that boost to our armor, our defense is now up to 21, which is pretty formidable. And our attack power is sitting at 20. At level 6, unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that we're equipped to fight is still kind of in that same general range. Now, there's a little bit more that we can expand to include here. Now, at this point, the big concern is we do have to be a little bit more watchful, because it is going to be harder to get back to town, because we're going to be on the other side of these mountains. Now, most of the enemies we've been fighting at this point are not going to do significant damage to us anymore, except the magicians. So we're going to continue hoping that we can take out magicians in one hit so they don't cast hurt. But they're going to do a lot less damage, at least, now that we've got that armor. So what we're going to be looking for here, for this next set of levels, is scorpions. Scorpions are a lot scarier than the things we've been fighting. But with that armor and the hurt spell, we should be able to take them pretty safely. And these give more experience than magicians, as well as they can give a good chunk more gold. The other enemy that's in this area are Magidrakkies. Magidrakkies, like magicians, can cast hurt. They are in fact a little scarier than magicians. I think we're going to... There we go. 5, and in that case we got 9 gold. Pretty solid. So, ghosts, scorpions, magidrakes, and magicians are all in this area. Now, I mentioned in the previous one that bridges were a signifier of when enemies were getting harder. The magidrakes and scorpions are get added at this bridge. But because of the fact that everything is kind of squared off, these tiles are included to keep in with those ones across the way, those hills at the top. So this is going to be the next section of our grind. These are about the same enemies we're going to be fighting once we get over to the east, where that cave they mentioned is. So getting to the point where we can handle those is the general goal. I think I may break my... Well, no, we're still close enough. So, the ideal thing here would be to get a weapon upgrade as well before we progress. And I'd like to get at least one more level. So I think that's going to be the plan. So, magidrakes, scorpions, magicians, we're gonna kind of take this... We have to take this kind of roundabout path because of the mountains every time. Let's get back down here, which takes us to the old man who restores our MP, because we're cheapskates. A little more? Nope, it is 37. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and cut away again here, and we'll pick back up at level 7, and from there we will plan on heading to the next town. Okay, so we're about to get level 7, and I noticed my gold totals were starting to get pretty good too, which is pretty exciting. Level 7, Courage and Wit have served thee well. That was been promoted to the next level. That power increases by 2, response speed increases by 7. So agility goes up by 7. That's very good. Agility affects our ability to run away, as well as our defense. So that's a big jump there. Maximum hit points increased by 2. Meh. Magic increased by 2, and we learned a new spell. We now have the spell of Sleep. And Sleep is an extremely powerful spell at this point in the game. All of the monsters that we can encounter right now are vulnerable to the Sleep spell. It will always hit. And it is, I believe, the same cost as Hurt, 2 MP. But once we cast it, there's a pretty good chance we'll be able to lock an enemy down. And not risk basically, we can use one cast of the sleep spell and then hit them several times, whereas with Hurt, we have to make several castings of it for it to be worthwhile. It's also a lot safer. We're less likely to take damage because we're being able to put enemies to sleep. So, as you can see, all of this is just about getting safer and safer as we go. I'm gonna go ahead and head up this way. Get our MP back. Use that to get our healing. So we are currently at 443 gold. We'd like to get up to 560 for the next big goal, which is a hand axe. And we've got a long way to go on experience. We're not going to be trying to grind this level here. Thankfully. At this point, we're going to mostly wrap up the grind. I'm going to clean up the gold. I'm going to finish off getting enough gold here to get the hand axe. And then we're going to actually head out and do story stuff. But I think that's going to be all for this video. We'll pick back up after I get enough for the hand axe, and then we'll take the journey to the next town and look for that cave that we've heard so much about. Hopefully you're still enjoying. If you are, please give me a like and subscribe. Check out the other content on my channel. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comments. And as always, have a good one. We'll catch you next time.